Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli, the computer guy, here for the Daily Blob, where I shake my brain nipples every day in order to get some of that dirty YouTube money to pay for what I actually care about, Silicon Dojo. SiliconDojo.com, free to end user hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever the hell it is that you want to do. In Durham, North Carolina, we're having a class on AI and SQL coming up on November 5th, AI and web scraping coming up on November 19th. If you go to SiliconDojo.com, you can see what the schedule is and you can RSVP. Do remember, free to the end user isn't actually free. That's one of the reasons I'm doing these videos. If you want to help support my project, there's a donor box link down below. And yeah, with that, what was it MAGA said? What was MAGA's favorite phrase over the past couple of years? I do believe it was fuck around and find out. Hey MAGA, yeah, remember when you were striding around like pompous dipshits screaming, fuck around and find out? Yeah, how's that going for you? How's that going for you? Because I can tell you, for the rest of us, it does appear that MAGA fucked around and the entire world is gonna find out. So anyways, I've been talking about this whole Nexperia disaster, which is kind of just like the metaphor for what is going on between the world and China currently. So, I don't know, I've reiterated this 1,000 times. Just the important thing to remember in this story is China man bad. China man has our money in his pocket. China man worked his ass off, provided us products and services that we paid for with our money. We paid for products and services from China with our money. Now our money is in China man's pocket, and China man refuses to give it back. So yeah, that's basically how you kind of sum up what's going on with the world right now. And that's what gets us to Nexperia, right? So Nexperia is a company headquartered out of Holland. They have a lot of factories, though, in China. So they create chips, large chips for the auto industry. Basically, some of the silicon is created in Europe, so the headquarters is in the Netherlands. Some of the silicon is created in Europe. That all gets shipped off to China to be packaged, basically turned into the chip, into the product itself, that then goes out throughout the rest of the world. Well, the EU thought it was a national security concern that the CEO was running. Running the company, and so they basically they seized it. They seized it. The European Union, the government of Netherlands seized the company for national security purposes. The thing is, China was ever so unamused that China seized their company, the headquarters of their company. So China basically put a mandate down that they could no longer ship chips essentially to the rest of the world. And now the rest of the world is finding out how bad that is, right? The Nexperia chips don't go out, then cars cannot be manufactured. I did a video talking about Bosch, right? So Bosch is already putting furloughs into effect because they cannot get these chips, and it does look like it is hitting U.S. auto manufacturing too. So yeah, under the amazing concept of fuck around and find out, apparently the soybean farmers in the United States are going bankrupt, and now it looks like the auto workers are going to be kicked out of their jobs too. Hey MAGA, how's Trump's economy doing for you? Is this working out? Is this working out? You thought it was going to work out? I don't know. This is just like a tremendous amount of stupidity. And we have this going on with everything else in the world going on. But it's curious to see these dominoes fall. The issue with our globalized world right now, too, is that we built this up over the last 30 or 40 years, especially with China. The idea being, right, like there actually was a principle. There was an idea behind this. The concept is if you inextricably link countries together with economic ties, then it will no longer be viable to go to war. Right, so the idea being, right, if China produces most of the medicines that we consume, then we're not going to want to bomb China because then we don't get our medicines and we die, right? If we are providing just a tremendous amount of money and other things to China, then China doesn't want to go to war with us because of all the inputs and everything that they're getting. So the issue that we're having right now, especially with the Trump administration, is how they're trying to break this whole system, is that so many things are just linked together in incredibly complex webs. I mean, think about this with the Nexperia chips alone, right? So you got the headquarters in the Netherlands, you're creating the wafers, you're creating the silicon in different places in Europe. But then that all has to get shipped to China to actually be put in the package to make it a usable product. From there, it then gets shipped back to places like Europe and the United States to become components in larger components. Those larger components then get stacked together, and then that's what gives you a truck or a plane or whatever else, right? And so that's the thing. Like if you look at the carbon footprint of many of the things that we use in our everyday lives, it's amazing. If these little things had passports, basically the entire passport book would get filled with stamps, every time it gets to your house. And so the issue is, right, as the Trump administration, right, tries to break things apart, it's just an ugly mess, right? The faster you do things, the worse it's going to go. As I've talked about before, like in migrations, I've talked about this in tech migrations, right, for years, right? Here's the deal. The faster you do a migration, the more expensive it's going to be and the worse it's going to go. Right? If you're like, oh my God, right, they're for compliance purposes or whatever else, we've got to get off this server. Eli, we've got to get off this server and go to this server. Like, okay, fine. How long do you have? Tomorrow. It's going to be ugly, right? I'm going to transfer the data. Hopefully the data will transfer fast enough. I'm going to transfer the data. But honestly, by tomorrow, are the security policies going to be working properly? Are the permissions going to be working properly? Are the drives going to be mapped properly? I don't know, right? My focus is making sure the data gets off, because once the server goes away, it's gone. I want to focus on getting the data off and trying to understand as much as possible, so then we can keep duct taping this thing together for the next couple of months, right? On the other hand, if you say, look, Eli, this is the platform we're on, this is the system we're on, and we need to migrate off. How long do we have? 6 months, a year? Oh yeah, whatever. I can sit down, I can do the research, I can find the best process for doing this kind of thing. I can schedule a time, right? For geeks, whenever anybody else gets a holiday, that's when we go to work. Oh, okay, I see the Thanksgiving holidays coming up. Tell you what, you give me Monday, Tuesday off. I will come in, Wednesday night, shut down the servers so that everything is ready for Monday morning, right? That's what you do when you have a reasonable time to do a migration. And the issue is, again, just from an economic standpoint and the trade standpoint, Trump is trying to do these migrations like by tomorrow. That's just not how this shit works. It's just not how this shit works. So anyways, this is coming from Alabama.com. Alabama, heart of MAGA territory. How's that going for you, Alabama? This going well? Alabama? You proud with your decisions? Anyways, chip shortage will affect Alabama auto plants production beginning this week. So this week, production is going to start running into issues. At least 2 of Alabama's automakers are making moves in response to a chip shortage that threatens to snarl production of several major vehicle manufacturers. On Tuesday, Honda and Mercedes-Benz both signaled that they are monitoring the situation, with Honda saying it will have to adjust production schedules. Last week, a group representing major automakers warned that chip disruption stemming from a dispute between China and the Dutch government could quickly overtake U.S. auto production. Chipmaker Nexperia announced it would no longer guarantee delivery of its chips, which are integral to auto production. A Honda spokesperson said the industry-wide semiconductor supply chain issue will make, quote, strategic adjustments to production necessary. Those adjustments will include, quote, temporary reductions or production suspensions will begin this week in its North American plants. So basically, U.S. auto workers are going to get vacation because of what's going on. Quote, as we anticipate this to be a fluid situation that requires flexibility, we will not be providing plant-specific information nor speculating beyond this period, the spokesperson said. I do think that's also kind of interesting too, the fact that they're not speculating. Most of the time with these companies, if they understand what's going on, they'll kind of give you a forecast. Like they'll give you a month out. Like, oh, this is the problem. This is how we foresee this working out. The thing is, all of this shit is batshit crazy. Like, how do you forecast batshit fucking crazy? And what I want to emphasize for you is you can't. You can't. Let's see here. When production adjustments are made, our Honda associates have the option to work at the impacted facilities, use their paid off, or take time off with no pay. Oh, wow, that's a wonderful option. Hey, don't worry, Honda employees in Alabama. Honda is giving you the option of not going to work and not getting paid. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. They gave you an option. I think that's the kind of hilarious shit too of corporate America. Well, you have the option of not getting paid. It's like, yeah, no, I really don't. I understand how you might think I have the option of not getting paid, but there is mortgages, there is payment on my fucking Honda car that I've got to pay for. A Mercedes-Benz spokesperson said the company is monitoring developments, but that the entire industry is affected. Quote, however, due to the high degree of complexity and volatility, it is difficult to make reliable forecasts at this point in time. Right? So everything's fluctuating. Thanks to good partnerships with our suppliers, the digitization of many of our processes, and the implementations of lessons learned from the chip crisis, we have secured sufficient supplies for the short term. We are working intensively with our partners to avoid potential supply gaps. Hyundai released a statement saying the company, like other manufacturers, has the potential to be impacted. Quote, the situation is fluid and we will continue to closely monitor it. So yeah, now the crap show that is going on in Europe, between Europe and China, is now going to be hitting the U.S. auto manufacturers. Apparently, it's also hitting the Japanese auto manufacturers, and it's going to be hitting the Korean auto manufacturers. So it's just a crap pie. It is just a crap pie for the entire world to eat. And it'll be curious to see how does this work out at the end of the day, right? I've been talking about this Nexperia thing for a little while, right? You have Bosch, you have other companies saying they're trying to find other suppliers. But one of the big things to realize, again, with these chips, these processors going into cars, is they have to be validated, right? They have to be tested for these vehicles. So even if you find another supplier, even other suppliers like, yeah, we can build, all those components, and hell, we'll give you a Patriots discount too, right? The thing is, everything has to be tested and validated, and there's a big question, like how long is that going to take? It's weird, like when you look at a system that works well, it is so strong and it is so stable, you just kind of assume that it's easy, right? You don't see the 20 years that got you here. Right? 20 years ago where they did one thing, and then 19 years ago where they created a testing regime, and 18 years ago where they created a partnership, and all the work with the government, and all the cross-border communication, and the auditing, and all that kind of stuff. Like, you don't see that. You're seeing the system work now, and the system that works now works well enough. It works seamlessly enough. You just assume it's relatively a simple thing, right? Oh, this can't be that complicated. Look at how smoothly it runs. But the thing is, in order to get you to that smoothness, it takes decades. It takes decades to get there. And so when the governments start doing complete and utter dipshittery, the problem is things can fall apart relatively quickly, and they cannot be put together back together necessarily very quickly. So yeah, we're going to see what is going to happen with all of this. I mean, it's interesting. Trump is out there, screaming to the high heavens about how they've come up with an agreement with China. and China really isn't saying shit. Have you noticed that? Because apparently, 100% tariffs were supposed to go into effect against China on November 1st because of the rare earths licensing scheme that they have. Now, apparently, that's been pushed back to at least November 8th, and we're hearing Trump saying we've come to an agreement. The problem is Trump likes to say those kind of things before that's actually reality, right? That is a good soundbite to put in the newspaper or to put on Fox News without all the, tedious work to actually get you to where you're going. And so one of the curious things with all this kind of stuff is how, where does it go? And the fact that China does have so much power in this situation, right? I'm not saying that the rest of the world has no power in the situation. I'm not saying that China is necessarily going to walk out of this mess, better off or whatever. But it is curious, like how much power China really does have, whether it's the rare earths, whether it's the ingredients that go into pharmaceuticals, whether it's the components that go into cars. Right? Literally, if we shut China off from the global economy, or they shut themselves off from the global economy collapses. It doesn't stagnate. It doesn't go on a downward trajectory. It fucking collapses. And so it'll be curious to see where this goes. And again, you have sides that need to seem like they're strong. Like, it's interesting right now, one of the videos I'm going to do is talk about the Democrats and the stupid-ass government shutdown. But basically, like, one of the things like with the government shutdown right now is that the Democrats don't feel like they can be shown to lose. Right? They feel like they tried to be nice before, and Trump basically played them as assholes. So now they have to be as strong as possible. And so you have the Trump administration, you have MAGA, right? And remember, MAGA fucking alpha dogs, right? They're not men, they're not humans, they're dogs! I'm an alpha! Right? They're not gonna fucking back down. They have to be alpha, right? Because they're not being human beings. They're playing a fucking part in a goddamn movie, right? So you have one side playing a fucking part in a movie, and then you have the other side feeling like they can't back down at all. And so now we've got this situation, like I say, with our federal government, where Trump isn't going to agree to shit, right? The negotiator in chief doesn't fucking negotiate. He's not going to negotiate for shit. And the Democrats are like, well, if you don't negotiate, we're not going to give up. And so apparently November 1st, food stamps aren't going to go out. Right? But think about this, though, in the geopolitical world, right? Can Xi back down? Can Xi be seen to be a fucking little bitch by the fucking Chinese people? Right? At what time, at what point in time can the Chinese politicians no longer viably acquiesce to the Western world, right? Because there's been an argument for decades. Look, right, like Whitey might be a piece of shit, but look, we're getting trade in, we're getting money in, we are building up our country. Accepting the insult, accepting the snide comments and the snide looks, right? It may not be pleasant, but starvation's worse. Starvation's worse. So here's the deal. You can deal with their insults and have a car, or you can tell them to fuck off and have a buffalo. Would you rather have a car or a buffalo? Figure it the fuck out, right? And so for a long time, for decades, right, there's been the thing, okay, right, the Western world might be a fucking bag of dicks, but it's better to deal with that and have a car and have a better standard of living than not. But the issue is, again, with every society, right, people are people. We hold these truths to be self-evident, right? That people are fucking people. People, all people, get to a certain point when something starts to become untenable. The insults start to become untenable. So at what point are the Western insults against the Chinese going to become so untenable for the Chinese people that they demand that their politicians react, that they accept, right, any degradation, any problems as the price of their politicians pushing back, right? And then again, that's what happens. What happens when Trump, right, is playing the fucking part out of a goddamn movie, and Xi doesn't feel like stepping back is a viable thing? What happens at that point in time? That is what we are going to find out. That I am giving a preview for 2026. 2026. Oh wow, this should be an exciting movie. Yeah. So anyways, what do you think about this? With the chip shortage hitting American auto manufacturers now, what do you think about the auto employees having the option of not getting paid? Does that seem reasonable? Oh, that seems reasonable. Yeah. Yeah, what do you think about this crap show? Put your thoughts down below. Give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down. Call me amazing, call me a dumbass. Just be a real Lutnick and put a strong American comment down in the comment section down below. Do remember what I actually care about is Silicon Dojo. SiliconDojo.com. Free DNDs are hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever it is that you want to do. We have classes in Durham, North Carolina. We have a class coming up next week on AI and SQL, structured query language. We have a class on November 19th on AI and web scraping. We're going to have more and more classes coming up. Go to SiliconDojo.com if you're interested, see what those classes are about. Also, do remember Free to the End User isn't actually free. There's a little donor box link down below if you'd like to throw a couple of dollars in to help support my project. That would be ever so lovely. And with that, see y'all later.